Welcome to today's deep dive on creatine monohydrate. If you've spent any time in the fitness world, you've probably heard of creatine. It's one of the most researched and popular supplements on the market, but there's also a lot of misinformation out there. As someone who's studied the science behind supplements for years, I want to provide you with evidence-based information about what creatine is, how it works, and what it can realistically do for your fitness goals. First, let's talk about what creatine actually is. Creatine is a naturally occurring compound that's found in small amounts in certain foods, particularly red meat and seafood. Your body also produces it in small amounts, primarily in your liver, kidneys, and pancreas. About 95% of your body's creatine is stored in your muscles, where it's used to produce energy during high-intensity, short-duration activities like weightlifting, sprinting, or jumping. When you supplement with creatine monohydrate, you're essentially increasing the creatine stores in your muscles beyond what your diet and natural production can provide. This is important because creatine plays a crucial role in the rapid production of adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, which is your body's primary energy currency during intense physical activity. Let's get into the science of how this works. During high-intensity exercise, your muscles use ATP for energy. This ATP gets depleted quickly, within seconds, and needs to be regenerated for you to continue exercising. Your body has different systems to regenerate ATP, and one of the fastest is the phosphocreatine system. This is where creatine comes in. The creatine stored in your muscles can donate a phosphate group to ADP, adenosine diphosphate, to quickly form more ATP, allowing you to maintain high-intensity performance for a bit longer. So what does this mean in practical terms? When your muscles have more creatine stores, you can perform more work before fatigue sets in. You might be able to do 1 or 2 more reps in your set, or maintain higher power output during sprints or other explosive movements. Over time, this additional work can lead to greater strength gains and muscle growth. Now let's talk about the research-backed benefits of creatine monohydrate. There's a reason why creatine is one of the most studied supplements in sports nutrition. We have decades of research showing its effects. First and foremost, creatine has consistently been shown to increase muscle strength and power output. A comprehensive review published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition found that creatine supplementation typically leads to a 5 to 15% improvement in maximal power and strength performance. This is significant in the world of sports performance, where even small improvements can make a big difference. Creatine has also been shown to increase lean muscle mass. Now, it's important to understand that this isn't just because creatine directly builds muscle. Rather, it allows you to train harder, which leads to greater muscle growth over time. Additionally, creatine draws water into muscle cells, which can cause a slight increase in muscle volume and weight, particularly during the initial loading phase. Research also indicates that creatine may improve recovery between sets and between workouts. This means you can train harder more frequently, which again contributes to better long-term results. Interestingly, the benefits of creatine extend beyond just muscles. Some research suggests it may have neuroprotective properties and could potentially benefit brain health. Studies have shown improvements in cognitive processing, particularly in tasks that require speed of processing, which might be especially beneficial as we age. However, more research is needed in this area. Now let's discuss how to properly take creatine monohydrate for optimal results. The most common and well-researched protocol involves 2 phases, a loading phase and a maintenance phase. During the loading phase, you take 20 grams of creatine per day, divided into 4 doses of 5 grams each for 5 to 7 days. This quickly saturates your muscle creatine stores. After this initial period, you move to a maintenance phase of 3 to 5 grams per day to keep your creatine stores topped up. It's worth noting that the loading phase isn't strictly necessary. You can skip it and just take 3 to 5 grams daily, but it will take longer, about 3 to 4 weeks, to fully saturate your muscle creatine stores. The end result is the same, it just takes longer to get there. As for timing, the research doesn't strongly suggest that taking creatine at any particular time of day is significantly better than another. Some people prefer taking it pre-workout for psychological reasons, while others take it post-workout or just at a consistent time each day. The most important factor is consistency, taking it regularly to maintain elevated muscle creatine stores. Should you cycle creatine? The research doesn't strongly support the need for cycling. Long-term studies have shown that maintaining creatine supplementation for years doesn't appear to have any negative effects on healthy individuals. However, some people choose to cycle off occasionally, which isn't harmful either. Let's address some common myths and misconceptions about creatine monohydrate. One persistent myth is that creatine is a steroid or similar to anabolic steroids. This is completely false. Creatine is a naturally occurring compound found in food and produced by your body. It has no hormonal effects and works through an entirely different mechanism than steroids. Another misconception is that creatine causes kidney damage. Multiple studies in healthy individuals have found no evidence that creatine supplementation at recommended doses harms kidney function. However, if you have pre-existing kidney disease, it's always best to consult with your healthcare provider before taking any supplement. Some people believe creatine causes dehydration and cramping. However, research actually suggests the opposite. Creatine may help with hydration by drawing water into muscle cells. That said, it's always important to stay well hydrated when taking creatine or engaging in intense exercise. Another myth is that creatine only benefits bodybuilders or power athletes. While these athletes may see the most obvious benefits, research shows creatine can benefit a wide range of activities that involve high-intensity effort, including team sports, sprinting, and even certain aspects of endurance training. Who can benefit from taking creatine? The short answer is most people who engage in resistance training or high-intensity activities. This includes strength and power athletes like weightlifters, powerlifters, and bodybuilders, team sport athletes who need bursts of speed and power, recreational gym goers looking to improve their strength and physique, older adults who want to maintain muscle mass and strength, vegetarians and vegans who typically have lower baseline creatine levels due to their diet. Speaking of diet, it's worth noting that while you can get creatine from food, particularly meat and fish, the amounts are relatively small. For example, you'd need to eat about 2 pounds of raw meat to get 5 grams of creatine. This is why supplementation is a more practical way to increase your creatine stores if you're looking for performance benefits. Let's talk about the safety profile of creatine monohydrate. It's one of the most thoroughly researched supplements available, and the consensus from the scientific community is that it's very safe for healthy individuals when taken at recommended doses. The International Society of Sports Nutrition has stated that creatine monohydrate is the safest nutritional supplement available. That said, some people may experience mild side effects. The most common is water retention, particularly during the loading phase. This is actually part of how creatine works, drawing water into muscle cells, but it can cause a slight increase in body weight initially. Some people also report digestive discomfort, which can often be mitigated by taking smaller, more frequent doses or taking creatine with meals. As with any supplement, individual responses can vary. A small percentage of people are non-responders to creatine, meaning they don't see significant benefits from supplementation. This could be due to genetic factors or already having naturally high creatine stores. Now, let's discuss the different forms of creatine available on the market. While there are numerous forms out there, creatine monohydrate remains the gold standard. It's the most researched form, with hundreds of studies supporting its effectiveness and safety. It's also typically the most affordable option. Some alternative forms of creatine include creatine HCl, buffered creatine, creatine ethyl ester, and liquid creatine. Manufacturers often claim these forms are superior to monohydrate, usually suggesting better absorption or fewer side effects. However, research hasn't consistently shown these alternatives to be more effective than good old creatine monohydrate. In fact, some studies indicate they may be less effective. All in all, although there's a lot to consider, the list below have been handpicked for you. So, work your way through the review, choose on that suits your needs, and click the link to learn more.